All right, what is this? The lost art of studying in hip hop? Oh my God, Amara. Yo, this is like, you low-key are almost at a hyperfixation for me here, dude. This is pretty close. Okay, so YouTube Frogs, watching after the fact, we're a little bit we're a little bit off the devil's lettuce right now, but we're having a good time. We're checking out the lost art of studying hip hop. Shout out Amara for putting me on. Be sure to check out the original video before you watch this one. First link in the description. The OG creator will also be linked right below it. And also I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, so feel free to stop by. Third link in the description. Also, I talk too much. So with all that being said, let's tap in. Hopefully I don't sound like a total idiot. This is a closed caption video. English subtitles should be available. Oh, yo, W? Goated. I need to start doing that with streams. I'll make some cool little logo like that. Pops up from time to time.
To be completely honest, I think hip-hop criticism is in a weird state right now.
Dude. Oh, no, this might be problematic with me being high. This guy got the type of voice where, like, if I'm looking for video essays on, like, random video games and shit when I'm trying to go to sleep, right? I'll be, like, skipping through and whatnot. And if they have, like, a nerdy voice, like, a bunch of these dudes got nasally, nerdy voices. Like, don't get me wrong, I got a nasally, nerdy voice, too. But, like, it'd be like, when I'm trying to figure out in today's video, I'm like, no, dude, no. This guy, if this guy made video essays, he'd be the only channel I watched. What I'm trying to say is he has a really nice voice.
Right now. In all my time on the internet hearing the various arguments on why current gen musical figures aren't as good or why this generation is trash always boggles my mind because I feel it always comes with—
Dude, what is he talking about? Oh, I was gonna say this generation has Dax or Tom McDonald or something, but no, they've been out for way too long and I don't even know if that joke would hit.
unnecessary ink.
Wait, actually, if this video does well, it'll probably attract people that are actually like good hip hop and shit like that. And it won't just be Tom McDonald stands telling me to take myself out.
Or rose-tinted vision, whether it be artists being all about algorithms and streaming numbers, rappers not saying anything in their songs anymore, sampling ruining hip-hop, female rappers being too provocative. You get the point. Most of the time when I see his critiques listed, there's almost always a lazy pointing to the current generation as the problem and failing to acknowledge most of these systems.
I feel like it was the previous generation that set this up, you know? I'm trying to think of like the big rappers, because, well, it's also hard for me because I literally got into rap right at the tail end of like the previous generation of rap. Like I was really getting into rap music like 2015, 16, 17. And then I like totally stopped listening to rap music in like 2018, 2019 because I was really getting into like pop punk bands and like the whole pop punk scene and stuff. But I'm trying to think through, like, I feel like a lot of shit for like this newer generation. I'm thinking like newer generation, like, I don't know, 2020, 2019 and on, right? I feel like it was kind of like a setup for that because there wasn't anybody going so extreme as some of these like mumble rappers and stuff, right? With the like beats and stuff. But I feel like things like, oh my God, what's that? Power by Kanye, right? Is that the one that's like, like Kanye really, you know, fuck him. But I feel like really brought production of that, like just like beats alone, the beat alone making you really enjoy the music. But also the thing with Kanye is also, you know, the lyrics were there to back it up. But I feel like that's part, like most of the reason why I listen to any of that type of music, because I do like a lot of that more like, you know, whatever, I guess you would say like mumble garbage, like kind of stuff. Like I literally listen to Ian like probably like at least once a week, but I'm not listening to him for like deep thought provoking bars. I'm listening to him for like the same reason that I listen to like pop music, is like I'm just here for like a good vibe. Like I'm not expecting any good lyrics. I'm just here for a good vibe, bro. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Sorry, I'm trying to unpack this all while also being high. So I hope that makes some sense to y'all. What is those yellow and blue lights on the wall behind you? Oh, it's just a light bar. Yeah, it's a light bar. It has a remote where I can change it up, but it like is broke. So I gotta buy a new one. Yeah, it's a light bar. They're like, well, they used to be $60 on Amazon. They're probably like 90 now. But yeah, I've had that bad boy for a couple setups now. It's just faced directly at the camera to like make it bounce off of this wall. So that's why it looks less like a light bar, more just like some LED lights. Which I guess, you know, that is what a light bar is, but
rather being symptoms of the increased control in the music industry or the shifting of the culture as a whole. And I did not have enough time to unpack that in the video. So,
dude, hell yeah. Dude, Salt, remind me sometime when I'm not super baked, and I will get you a link to them if you ever want some. It was relatively affordable. Yeah, when I moved into my first apartment, I was like, I need an upgrade for the setup. Light bar! I kind of want to slowly move this whole space. I'm sorry, Mario, you're right. I keep getting sidetracked. I want to move this whole space into less of like gamer, like, do. I want it to be more like Okay, we got a nice little vibe in here. You'll have to remind me when I'm sober. Yeah, I got you, bro. I got you. Like, ooh, not like cozy vibe type vibe, but like somewhere in the middle, you know?
So I want to do something different. In all of these unpopular opinions or hot takes about these new artists right now, I don't see this question being brought up that much. Who out here is still studying? There comes a quote from an artist named Ethan Becker that's...
Dude, can I just... Sorry to keep pausing, but I swear this is actually on topic. I didn't realize until I went to the studio with one of my homies, because I do photography and videography and stuff, right? I didn't realize that the cut-in is like a real thing. Like, he would do like probably like a couple of bars and then be like, okay, let's cut in. And then like do a couple more and then a couple more and a couple more. Like, I know people back in the day were like talking about how like Kendrick would literally carry, and he might still do this, you know, what do they call the like 80 cents books that you can... Notebook. Oh my God. I can't tell if that was a brain fart. I'm just like that cooked right now. But he would carry around that shit and just go. Like, would have his shit ready to go in the studio and like wouldn't need to re-record or whatever, or like at least not as much as a lot of these people do. Juice WRLD, that's like why people like Juice WRLD, or like said that Juice WRLD was like immensely talented, because he would just get into the studio and go and like have a whole song, do the hooks and everything. Now I'm thinking about my favorite artist of all time, Mike. What he does is he'll like basically, and he's kind of more like pop rap, so I don't really like, you know, it's not like hip hop type shit, but he'll like hum a melody and like kind of like sort of freestyle over it. And I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking, is that more effective than the cut in? I think it low key is, especially for that genre, because if you kind of know the rhythm that you're looking for and the vibe, then you can actually really be like thinking. And if you're doing studying, like if you're studying other like great artists and stuff like that, then that can be good, because you can kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna be on this rhythm and I'm gonna say this shit. Better, you know, still better than, like I was saying, the cut in. I think he's probably gonna get to that, I would imagine, because it's like a new thing in rap music, or at least somewhat new.
Stuck with me in the past few years. The point within that context was to constantly reference professional artists in order to develop an appealing style of your own, aka the basis of master studies. This introduction to this concept opened my eyes into just how much more is put into working on one's craft, the amount of reps and time taken to break into that master level. And while this type of studying isn't as displayed, at least in the world of hip hop, you can tell who's went out of their way to learn and improve from those who've come before. So I wanted to take a few artists in today's class.
That's me. That's why I watch such streamers as Soda Poppin' and Ice Poseidon, to understand and learn from those before me. Who's some other really problematic people? Dr. Disrespect. No. Sorry. I can't even joke about that, dude. I can't even joke about that one, bro. That's why I'm looking at other commentary channels from before to learn from them. Commentary channels such as Leafy is Here and Cody Co. Just kidding again. Okay, it's not really there that much. You can't really see it through the beard, but I do have a chin, and also I am about to be 24. There's no way you would catch me dead talking to a 17-year-old if I'm in a relationship or not, dude. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, brain farts are on point tonight, dude. Yeah, I'm on something else, man. I'm on something else, bro. I took too big of a rip. Anyways, let's continue. Sorry.
I meant to examine and analyze what separates the good and great, as well as some of the measures taken for them to get there. And these concepts can also be applied to any medium you're thinking about. So with that being said, let's get into it.
That is pretty funny, Saul. I love the vibes of this guy's videos. Registry of the student for 925 is top. Oh, what a G, dude. Hell yeah.
So initially I was going to start off with Kanye, but with everything that's happened in hip hop this year, I feel that Kendrick would have been a better starter. In this beef alone, Kendrick demonstrated some of the purest and most authentic displays of artistry throughout the whole beef.
Yeah.
Off the rip in his career, he listed rappers like Nas, Ice Cube, Tupac, and etc. And each of these influences can clearly be heard throughout the diss tracks that followed the spring. However, I didn't anticipate GNX coming out. GNX is Kendrick's biggest foray into the West Coast sound, from mostly featuring West Coast rappers to some of the lyrics literally being screw subliminals, I want y'all to bop to this.
Dude, I love the yin and yang of To Pimp a Butterfly, and oh my god, he literally just said the name of the album, I can't remember it. This album, GNX. Oh my god, bro, it is just amazing that Kendrick... I mean, you know, GNX is nothing like insane, right? But just like the yin and yang of those two projects together is beautiful. I thought that it was going to be like, damn, that was going to be like the yin and yang of that, you know what I'm saying? But GNX, I feel like, is such like a different sound while carrying themes. If it makes any sense at all. Sorry, again, I'm unintentionally too high for this, dude. So maybe I'm just saying a bunch of nonsense.
The project feels very cohesive in its subject matters and yet isolated at the same time. It's honestly more akin to a mixtape in my opinion. But two tracks on this album immediately stood out to me. Reincarnated and Hard Part 6.
I literally still cannot get over Reincarnated, dude. I cannot get over how good that fucking song is, dude. Sorry, I want to go back a little bit because I cut him off.
Two tracks on this album immediately stood out to me. Reincarnated and Hard Part 6. Starting with the former, the Tupac sample sort of speaks for itself. For me at least, it's not the lyrical content, it's not even necessarily the song structure, but the cadence and energy that Kendrick exudes throughout this instrumental. As someone who, to be honest, has never really listened to Tupac up until very recently, from the stuff I've heard, from the interviews I've seen, from my observations of what the culture thinks about him as a figure, K-Dot's delivery and emotions feel very in line with how profound and nuanced Tupac's art is to this day. This track also comes in direct contrast to the Stunt Drake pull with Taylor Made Freestyle, which not only started with a Tupac AI verse, which is disrespectful on so many levels, but it was lazy too.
Bro, fuck Drake, bro. That shit like genuinely upset me. That he's out here using fucking AI shitty versions of fucking Tupac and Snoop Dogg and shit to try and roast Kendrick. Dude, talk about corny, bro. That's some of the corniest shit ever. That's almost as corny as putting your banner as Hello Stalker on Facebook.com, man.
He refused to listen to this diss until making this video, and it's painfully obvious that the AI is just using Drake's flow. A genuinely soulless move to put words in his mouth.
Real. Stormin! Stormin, thank you so much, brother. Tier 1 for 46 months is insane! How's it going, bro? We're doing a little react here while I'm a little bit too baked. What can I say?
Which promptly became the driving force for Euphoria, and you know the rest. With Hard Part 6, it's a significantly more reminiscent track, talking about the early days of TDE, Black Hippie, and Kendrick's come up. In the first verse, Kendrick cites Ab-Soul as his inspiration that he studied to define his pen. If you don't know who Ab-Soul is, just listen to Soulburger and then it'll all make sense. In the same song, however, Kendrick also mentioned Schoolboy Q, from not even rapping to using TDE's roster as an inspiration to learn. And even in an Ab-Soul interview, he says that learning from the studio low-key inspired the name Schoolboy Q. There are multiple interviews to reference where Q and...
Dude, I'm so mad it took me so long to get into Schoolboy Q's album from last year. It probably would have been, I want to say top 7 releases from last year. Last year's music releases were stacked. Music releases was insanely stacked for me. Like, almost all of my favorite artists released something. In Nothing Nowhere's case, he released like 4 projects. Yeah, dude. I absolutely, like, maybe the best year in music for me personally, at least in a really long time. I really can't think of a better year for like the music that the type of music that I like the range of it. Like pretty much everything from every genre that I like dropped something last year that was great. Like Mike dropped an album, and that was like that pop rap for me. The Kendrick album was like the hip hop for me. Boundaries dropped an amazing heavy album, as well as Speed dropped a great album. One Step Closer dropped an amazing pop punk album. Scrim also dropped just like a good, like, I feel like modern rap, like kind of the shit that he's talking about, like being, you know, not really. I mean, actually, I don't even know where I would throw that in there. Scrim also does a lot of like the freestyle shit, where he'll just freestyle whatever, which I also fuck with that. That's pretty sick. But yeah.
When Kendrick's brotherhood allowed Q to succeed, and it brings up the importance of camaraderie and friendly competition. For my first calculus class freshman year, I made some really good friends from joining their study sessions. Shout out to y'all. I know y'all watching. All of us were in different levels of understanding the material, but whether it be cramming for an exam the week of or just spamming practice problems after class, every one of us made sure we'd be straight to pass. I'm making this sound like a award. My point is...
Oh, but yeah, deadass, like, For myself though, like I can kind of relate to this, right? Because I don't actually try and mimic the games of Soda Popping and Ice Poseidon, but there are streamers that are like really good streamers that I will literally study and watch their VODs like all the time to be like, okay, what are they doing right that I can do myself in my own way? You know, like I used to watch Valkyrie a lot, actually, back in the day when Among Us was popping. Recently, it's been like Squeaks and Germa and Northern Lion. I'm trying to think of who else I've done that with. It actually was Soda Poppin' for a little bit. I used to watch Asmongold before he went on his conservative arc for like reacts and stuff. Same with Tectone before Tectone was like a total, yeah, I've kind of lost my React YouTubers that I like watching. It's probably, questionable that those were the two React content creators I would watch all the time. But yeah, I feel that. I feel like you can do that in any field, find someone that was great or is great and mimic parts of your game after them. I mean, that's what they do in sports, obviously.
Group of people whose goals and ambitions genuinely align with yours makes every part of your development as an artist easier. Keeping motivation or just friendly competition amongst each other helps to push your abilities farther than just duking it out alone. So, I've talked about Tyler a few times before on my channel, specifically in regards to his metamorphosis of his public perception and attention to detail. While I talked about the various changes he made to his work with the album Flower Boy, I never really mentioned any of the measures he took to get there. In Flower Boy Conversation, Tyler spends the first few minutes talking about some of the preparation for this project, citing the studying of different pop aspects in the club and etc. However, his installment in the Rap Caviar Hulu series brings more context to this. Tyler cites the listing of all of his songs up to that point, only enjoying 3 songs and deciding to go back to the drawing board. Reading books on structure, what people consider good writing, how melodies work. Tyler in this area essentially took the time to
get a look of this Storming guy, dude. He gets that World of Warcraft clout. He don't even say yo in a Twitch chat to people anymore. Get a load of him. No, dude. Let me predict exactly what Storming's doing right now. He's playing World of Warcraft. He's probably watching a YouTube video or some shit. High as fuck. Okay, dude. He's not even aware that you are trying to communicate with him right now.
Catch up or brush up on the very basics. And mixing it with his true love for music is how we've seen everything.
Dude, I'm so sorry. I'm kind of just sitting here like I'm hitting an XQC react right now about this because I'm genuinely like so enthralled in this conversation. This is like hyperfixation for me, but not like I know a shit ton about it, but like it's very interesting to me. Like just the thought of like creating a shit ton of music and being like, yep. That was a long time. That's a lot of work. I only fuck with 3 of these though. So I'm going to can everything else and we're going to go back to the drawing board and I'm going to do more work until I find what I like. Like, holy fuck. But that's what makes Tyler great,
From 2017 onward. Earlier this year in the summer, I felt pretty dissatisfied with the editing of my videos, so as an excuse to learn motion graphics, I take videos from my recommended, go to the Fusion tab, and pretty much recreate the visuals to the best of my ability. Not only did I get to tap in more of my editing software, but I gained
if you do that shit, you can print money editing, dude. You can print money editing, bro.
Understanding of what other creators prioritize and how to discern which visuals serve a project.
By the way, sorry, just sidetrack. This is off topic, but sort of on topic of editing, video editing. Video editing, like, high-key made me despise, like, YouTube and retention editing shit, and that's why I'm, like, very much off of that right now, doing, like, reacts and, like, more raw gameplay and shit. Is just, like, almost like a, what would that be called? Like, an anti-cultural movement? Or not cultural, but, like... I don't know, more of a traditional style of things, is it just made me feel really burnt out and jaded. I mean, I still edit for some of the homies and shit, but I'm not trying to be the next, like, whatever content editor or shit. I really, it was a good avenue to explore, and I am grateful for the people who still hire me from time to time to edit for them, but I am not nearly as tapped in on that shit anymore. I'm, like, way more focused on my own shit.
Project more going forward. It's never a waste of time to revisit the basics. Another topic I think Tyler's career brings up is...
I think that's another thing, and I also do this myself, even like in my own work and shit, is sometimes I'll feel like a basic skill, like I could get better at a basic skill, but I'm like, well, that's basics. I've already learned that. But it's like, no, dude, you just don't be so prideful. Don't be so full in your ego and go work on the basic skills again. Like, honestly, in editing, there's a lot of like basic skills I just need to get better at in editing. But I keep being like, ugh, no, because that would take time and like I'd have to put a lot of work in. And, I'd rather just keep, duct taping shit together.
The value of a mentor. Now, it's no secret that Pharrell has influenced not just the game but the culture as a whole, but his relationship in Tyler in particular is interesting. In the Sydney and
dude, I really wish that I had some form of like a content creator mentor, like in any way, or just somebody that's like a bigger content creator that I could like talk to. I mean, I'm sure if I was like really struggling with something, I could hit up the homie Unique Geese and he'd probably be like there because he's a really nice dude. But I wish there was like somebody that I was like super similar with and like they did a similar style to what I do and they like came up that I could like talk to about shit. Maybe I'll actually just start reaching out to people. Be like, hey, dude, like somewhat around my level, but like higher. Be like, hey, do you have any tips? You look at my content and give me some tips. Do you have any advice?
Installment of his All-Star series with Converse. Tyler recalls a studio session with Pharrell and various reactions to the roughs of Glitter, Pothole, and Who That Boy, in which the latter unlocked the reaction in everyone but T, and Pharrell proceeded to spend an hour giving him game that he didn't fully understand at the time. And honestly, that's one of the biggest perks with having a mentor in general. Though I did mention how having a group with similar ambitions can be a major factor within your development, having a singular figure with that much more experience and wisdom can give you advice and blueprints that you may not be able to fully understand, especially nowadays with how many free resources you can use to learn different mediums. Having that relation can also maintain your discipline, and I think the next artist perfectly encapsulates that principle. But first, let me take a water break. I'll be right back.
Did you know AutoZone had seafood boil? What's way better is following my socials. Hee. Yo, W plug, dude.
So my introduction to Doechii wasn't from any of her music, but
oh, dude, we might have to watch that Anthony Fantano video I've been meaning to watch, where he talks about the Doechii hate right now. Dude, I almost said some crazy shit. Oh my god, dude, I thought my OBS disconnected. That's usually what happens. Or the sound that happens whenever OBS disconnects. Anyways, I almost said some crazy shit on Twitter earlier. Because Aiden Ross called Doechii an unintelligent, I know he said unintelligent, like waste of space or something like that. I know he said industry plant too. Oh man, dude. Oh, I was about to say some hot takes, buddy, about Aiden Ross. Doechii hate is so forced. Yeah, I feel that, dude. I think it's literally just like you get to a certain point and then people start hating you. Like pretty much the pop conversation we were having the other night is like you get to a certain point and then there's just general haters that just hate you because you're successful and shit like that. And then I think they pretty much look for any way to break you down that is like socially acceptable. Like being like, oh, they're overplayed, or oh, their lyrics are cringe, or like whatever they can find to break them down. For me, if I ever got real popular, they'd probably call me an uggo. Yeah, they'd be like, he's ugly. And then like some people would be like, that's body shaming. And then other people would be like, he's fugly, dude. He's not ugly, he's fugly.
From a TikTok showing one of her old YouTube videos. She was also musically very skilled, but I sort of put her at the back of my head to look for in future reference. And then she held a live alligator on camera. Doechii's spotlight in a way feels comically cliched to some, with the sudden pushing, multiple Grammy nominations, cosigns from some of the best to do it in the culture, and with an unwavering sense of hunger in the game, all before—
Really, who are you gonna listen to? The random Twitter or Reddit troll, or YouTube commenter, or TikTok commenter? Or Kendrick Lamar on what is good music? Who are you gonna listen to? The guy that maybe made the greatest rap album of all time? Or the dude that couldn't fucking get into band in school, dude? He couldn't get into a band performance at school. Who are you gonna listen to? Who are you gonna listen to here, bro?
Or a major studio album. In a world where albums are only promoted for a short time and fizzle out, the presence of a proper promoting of an artist feels unprecedented to some, for some reason. Alligator Bites Never Heal is an alley-oop of a project with as much effort and vibes, and her biggest asset by far is her attention to detail. In her Rolling Stone interview, she explains the ending to one of her standout tracks, The Nile is a River. So at the end, she enacts this like breathing exercise, almost akin to like hyperventilating if you listen to it for the first time. And she explains this as a beatboxing style inspired by Dougie Fresh. Like, when was the last—
Dude, I have got to go through and listen through The Nile is a River all the way through. I started a while ago. It was like when Doechii had like 11 million monthlies. It was a long time. I think it was literally when they announced who was nominated for Grammys. I tapped in, I listened to like 10 songs, and I was like, this is a really good vibe. And then I got distracted with other shit. I don't know what dropped or whatever happened. But yeah, I really got to go through and listen to the whole thing. I think there are two kinds of people who hate someone when they get big. One is the person who rejects anything mainstream, and not in a punk cool way, but in a I am so different, validate me way. Yes. Dude, those people are so fucking annoying. Two, the people who just hate anyone big, even if they like what they create. Yeah. Yeah, dude. The worst is both. When they're like both, you know? oh, I'm so different. I fucking hate everything that's big and popular because I'm different. I'm different like that. Validate me. Tell me how different I am. I'm not like other girls. Bro, shut up. To be fair, I am victim of that sometimes, which is why I've been trying to listen to more. Sorry, there's like a gnat flying around. I've been trying to listen to more mainstream artists like Sabrina Carpenter and shit like that. Billie Eilish. You know, Doechii now, Kendrick, all those. I mean, not trying just to not seem like a snob, but trying because I'm like, well, a lot of people like these artists. The first one that I got into that was like a bigger artist after not listening to like mainstream anything for a while was Harry Styles. That shit kicks ass. I'm not gonna lie, I do love Harry Styles.
Last time you heard any mainstream rapper solidly reference beatboxing. There's more intricacies in the lyrics throughout the mixtape, but what I found more interesting when doing research was the story and preparation for this project. A good amount of the results for this tape was keeping consciousness and removing personal distractions. In a few of her latest interviews, actually, she talks about how she got to a point where she couldn't get into a studio without smoking or drinking, and that for her to get to where she is now, she cut those off and went hermit mode, as she described. Now, I'm not and will not claim to be a psychologist, therapist, medical professional, or anything of that.
So I was listening to the Suicide Boys interview with Theo Von last year, actually right around this time, because I was on a road trip and I needed shit to listen to, and I didn't listen to that much Theo Von, and I really hadn't listened to that many Suicide Boys songs, to be honest, other than Scrim's project and then like a couple here and there. Like the one where they're like, I forget the name of the song, but the one where he's like, I bought the head of a bat like a Mozzie. I remember listening to that when I was 17, and I'm like, holy shit, this might actually be demonic music. And then Fucking Your Culture was also a banger. I basically unintentionally went to a Suicide Boys show once, and then also actually went to go see Suicide Boys because I was trying to like befriend. Anyways, it's a long story. I was listening to them talk about creating music and discussing how much different it is off of drugs. Like, they had to completely change their style. I mean, you can listen to the music and it's like very, very clear that it's completely different. Yeah, I did get, Mark, you actually said it right. I did get distracted by me talking about Suicide Boys. But yeah, I think it's totally different. I mean, obviously, on drugs and alcohol and anything, you have like a totally different vibe. I think you can, depending on the type of music that you want to make, if you're looking to make a song that sounds like good when you're vibing and like having a good time and shit, like Mike literally talks about during the highs, which is supposed to be like kind of like just like a good vibes, like go through life, like in your happy moments album. He was like drinking and smoking and like literally recording like when they're having parties and shit. But with this Lowe's album, he like isolated himself completely and didn't drink and didn't really smoke that much. I mean, a little bit. I mean, he's like, I don't know how much he smoked. He'd be smoking a lot in the Instagram reels. That's all I know. But yeah, I think it really does. And like, if you listen to this is grabbing from a different genre, so I don't know how relatable it actually will be. Kind of funny. I'm going to this for a hip hop discussion, but like Zach Bryan's music, you can listen and hear in what state of his life and in what place he is living, the different sounds from all of his albums. Like literally, like from his first album to the most recent one, like you can totally tell. Like you can tell, especially from like his first album or second album to the self-titled. Yeah, there's one artist. Oh, there's this one artist I listened to who had a ketamine addiction, and their music, while addicted, is so much more different and drastic than now since they are sober. Yeah, dude. I think, like, that's why I always tell people not to go back to Suicide Boys, but when people are like, I don't like Suicide Boys, it sounds like shit, I'm like, have you listened to them in the last, like, 4 years? Or did you listen to them when they, like, first were coming up and people were, like, going crazy about them? Because I think they've done a pretty good job at, like, keeping similar enough to their old sound, but also being, like, more mainstream now and sounding a lot better than their older shit. Anyways, yeah, dude, drugs are crazy when you're making art. Any kind of art.
That sort of. I'm not going for that. So I won't claim any specific.
Oh, but yeah, I did want to come back around saying like using shit. I think if you do want to make a very conscious rap album, great conscious rap album, then yes, you should cut out. I mean, obviously, cut out any substances.
specific vices
If you
to 100% avoid. You know yourself better than me to make that conclusion. However, I will say that one of mine and a bunch of others probably this.
Oh, that's real.
Algorithms are a double-edged sword, and there's a million videos about how it homogenizes the culture and stuff like that, so I won't even touch that topic too much. However, as I've gotten older with this internet thing, I've recognized my personal responsibility in this relationship. Even with some platforms having more sensitive personal feeds than others, I'm still giving them an idea of what I interact with. That's why whenever I hear friends complain about Twitter or TikTok or insert toxic app
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, these apps, their whole goal, like Twitter and Facebook, at least I've realized, their whole goal is to make you emotionally activated. And it's probably, I mean, they don't care if it's good or bad. I'm sure that like TikTok probably wants to do the same sometimes, but most of the time they're trying to hit you with like dopamine. Same with Instagram. But yeah, if the overarching, I guess would be not overall. The like main thing that you engage with on social media is what you're gonna get. Like Twitter, during the election, I was like just kind of like staying up to date on things. I was liking stuff, and now my feed's been cooked ever since. Like it's literally almost all politics. I can't wait for football season to come back around. I think that was my problem this year is the 49ers suck. So I was like, okay, what's the thing I'm going to get into at the end of the year? Politics or football? Are the Niners making a run, or am I going to care about politics for a minute? Even though I fucking hate almost every single U.S. politician. I should honestly just start saying that I hate all politicians, because it would be easier for me to say that, and then people will be like, well, there's got to be at least one politician that you like, and I could be like Bernie Sanders, instead of people being like, oh, and then hypothesizing on what politician I like. Anyways, not important. Sorry, that's like my own self-realization said out loud there. Wow.
I always direct them to the not interested button, because how do you let an ad take up your screen time and you still hate it? That's just foolish.
It really is.
Filter out your feed to make your experience more enjoyable, or delete the app too. All of this is rotting our brains.
I think I'm actually going to delete fucking Twitter. I think I might actually do it after I get home from this road trip that we're taking. I think I'm going to delete it and then just use it on my computer if I really need to see something. But there's nothing on Twitter that I need to see at every moment in time, and it is draining my joy. I'm fine with this idea. Good. Hey, you can delete it now? No, dude, I'm going to be bored in the car. No, I'm not going to delete it. Dude, no, not right now, dude. No, trust. Like 1 more week.
The awareness to completely reset her mindset for her being and for her art is probably the biggest contributor to the final product. Now, while this sounds drastic to some, we live in a world where even leaving Instagram for like a week stresses people out. The constant need to keep occupied with anything, even if we forget what we just spent the last hour on, is a genuine issue for many. And especially if you feel dissatisfied with your work for an extended amount of time, I think we need to raise our standards a little bit on what we occupy.
By standards, I mainly mean being more mindful of making time for your craft. This isn't a knock to those with a genuine social media issue, in case you're confused on that. Yeah, that's real, dude. It's real. I feel like some motherfuckers are going to end up going to a 12-step program at some point if this shit keeps happening and be like, I need to get off of my fucking phone, dude.
Occupy our time with. Another concept
literally one of the best things that I've been trying to do more often is just putting my phone somewhere else in the room when I'm trying to work on whatever I'm working on, like videos or whatever. I just put it in another part of the room. I always feel, or like, at least for a while, I felt like I needed my phone near me in case something like wrong happened. But if somebody really needs you, they can probably call you, you know? So if the phone's in the same room as you, it'll be fine.
Beautifully demonstrated with this album is the idea of letting loose with your ideas. Despite the subject matter and emotions from the project stretching years, in multiple interviews, she said the actual project was put together in a month. She literally called the label and said, I'm dropping a mixtape at the end of the month. Do with that what you will. With the mixtape and hip-hop being free from the balance and expectations of full albums, along with the introduction of her Swamp sessions, I'd imagine this period of time also served as a release of baggage of sorts. As artists, sometimes we tend to dwell on certain ideas for maybe longer than they'll serve you, and I relate to this 100%. However, I had to realize whenever I put a piece of work out, it's out of my control on how the world perceives it at that point. What is in my control is how much I'm willing to let out, how much I'm willing to release this idea from my mind. Because sticking to certain ideas for too long causes stagnation, especially if you aren't even ready to execute that idea yet. So I wanted to make something a little different than regurgitating all the points on YouTube on why hip hop is dead and all that. I also wanted to try a different style, so let me know how y'all feel about this. If you liked the video, you don't have to subscribe right away, but I'd really appreciate it if you left a comment. Comments give me feedback on what I can do to improve my videos, and it also just promotes a genuine discussion about the topics at hand, which is really the point of these videos. Again, all my social medias are in the links below in the description, and the Discord's in there as well. This year's been a lot for me personally, but not so much for this channel, and that's not happening again. All I will say is that I'll be changing things up.
I think I already did sub.
So
oh, I didn't.
Anyone who's still willing
though.
to stick around, I'm actually excited for what I have to show you in 2025.
Dude,
but
hell yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. Okay, bye.
I think that this dude is really genuine. Also, great video. It was bite-sized too. Oh my god, amazing. That was awesome. I think he portrayed exactly everything he was trying to in that video very, very well. The title is also very genuine because he could have made it something like Doom or Pilled, like kind of like he was referencing like why hip hop is dead and shit like that, because that would do better. I mean, honestly, if I make this a reaction video, which I probably will, I'm probably gonna title it something similar to that. Because that, it does better in the algorithm. But this dude seems very genuine. He kind of just making art. Like, this is like one of those YouTubers where you look at it and you're like, yes, this isn't like a YouTuber. It's like an artist. They're a creative person. I don't know why I was saying it's. They are a creative person and an artist first, and then a YouTuber second. Pretty fire though. Absolutely great video. Let's see. Oh my god, you know what I just realized? I was so high I didn't reopen Riot Games. Oh, I didn't look at the comments. I actually want to see this. We're bringing literacy back in 2025. The less you read, the more the... Am I allowed to say that? I always get confused when people talk about their toxic feeds on Twitter and YouTube. My shit is golden. I built this algorithm brick by brick, my boy. Yeah, Sam, not gonna lie, dude. My YouTube algorithm's kind of goated right now. It's like all like stand-up work and shit, and Germa and Squeaks and Northern Lion. That's pretty much what it is. At least on my phone and on my computer. The TV's a different story, dude. Dochi the Don, Dochi the Dean, Dochi the Supreme, the Swamp Ruler. Real. It has been a saving grace all those years back. I started using YouTube's not interested option. Nowadays, my feed is filled with much less inflammatory videos and will even throw in a low sub count. Yeah, dude, I've been getting some low sub counts recently, like content creators, which has been sick. Oh, Aiden Ross on Impulsive. Epic bacon, dude. Yes, Chris, we can say colonizers. We, white people, are the colonizers. Oh, okay. Really? Me? Colonizer? I hope the fuck not. I can't even do the Squeaks joke. That would send me into 5 years of bad Twitter luck.